Alright, and 3, 2, 1. Hello, YouTube. This is Cody with Search My Deck TCG. We're bringing you the next card preview, and today we're looking at, I guess, the big snake on screen, Milotic V. I say Milotic and it's Milotic. I'm sure I'm saying a lot of names wrong. I think Milotic is what it's supposed to be. I say Milotic. Anyway, not about how I pronounce this Pokemon, it's about the card and what it does. And I know I have a tendency of overhyping, getting overexcited about cards. Some of the cards talking on this video aren't cards I think are going to be the best. I mean, all the ones I covered, the pre-Sword and Shield, they're just cards I find interesting. I mean, there's a video coming up probably before this one on a certain Pokemon that is just straight up bad, but it's just fun to kind of talk about how to use these cards. This card, however, I do think is really good. I don't know if this set is legal in Japan yet. I think it is, but obviously with Corona going around, I don't know if there's even been any events with it since it's been legal, because a lot of events got canceled. But anyway, let's move on with the intro. Move on to the card itself. 210 hit points, which is pretty good for a V. Weak to lightning, which, I mean, Picarom's a thing. You just don't do super well against Picarom, but that's really about it as far as for lightning goes. The reason it's good, 2 retreat costs, good hit points, fine. Everything is fine that in. The card looks beautiful as well. Really, really pretty looking card. But the big reason why it's good is that first attack, which is currently translated as Aqua Impact, for a water, double colorless. It does 10. It's 50 for each colorless and your opponent's retreat cost. The second attack is not terrible. For water, triple colorless, it does 150, and then it puts your opponent's active asleep. Definitely not the worst thing ever. And I know what you're thinking, that's pretty expensive, but it's really not. I mean, 3 is pretty normal for most things, and it's got some acceleration. So the first acceleration, obviously, we'll talk about probably what everyone's thinking of when they think of water. It's Frostmoth. Frostmoth accelerates water from your hand to the bench. You can get this powered up as soon as turn 2. Again, that's definitely not bad. Definitely an option for sure. However, the way I would play it, day 1, at least, and don't call me gross, is Welder. So, because you have the water double colorless cost, you can use Welder. I think Welder is better because you need to be getting Absols. You want to focus all of your resources on getting Absols. Plus, Fire has a lot of good uses right now. A lot of good support. More support than Water has at the moment. And so you can play either one. You definitely put this in a Frostmoth deck, but I think Milotic it can't be a one of in things. Not usually, at least. I think it needs to be the focus of a deck. And so I think you play it with Welder, and obviously you play it with 4 Absol. What makes your basic Pokemons, your opponent's active Pokemon, if it is basic, retreat cost is 1 colorless more. So we head back to what do I have open here? I have apps open twice. I don't know why I have apps open twice. Okay, so that is the main partner. So let's say, for instance, if your opponent's active Pokemon, like a lot of pretty common right now for a 2, let's say, like most tag teams have a 2 retreat cost. So if they have a 2 retreat cost, you're doing just 110, which by itself is not amazing. It's a 3 shot on a couple things. 2 shot, 3 shot, not great. But then we start throwing in Absols. Let's say if you have 2 Absol and they have 2 retreat cost, then you're doing 210. That looks a lot better. And so 2 Absols on a 2 retreat cost Pokemon like a Mew is just doing 210. If you get a 3rd Absol, obviously you're doing 260. That math is getting even better. And then what makes this card, I mean, that's already proven. 3 Absols is not too hard to get out with Quick Ball and Great Balls, Pokecoms. We have a good enough amount of search right now. So, you could be doing some big boy damage, but with just Absols. But we don't have just Absols. We have an even easier way to do plus 100 damage. How many cards in the format want a plus 100 damage accessory card? I think every deck just about would love a plus 100 damage card. And I guess I could have pulled this up separately, but I didn't. I'm sorry. So if you don't know, we're gonna scroll all the way down to Gather Mine. So Gather Mine makes the retreat cost of both yours and your opponent's Pokemon 2 more. So obviously, if you're playing, it hurts yourself too, but you'd be playing switches to get around it, really, and you're not. If you need to, you probably have a switch count in this deck, and it's okay that the stadium can be knocked. Stadiums are pretty heavy right now, so this is probably not lasting more than your opponent may just be knocking this away their next turn anyway, but that's fine, because this makes the retreat cost 2 more, which gives you 100 more damage. So now, if we go back and we look at this math, we swing right up. If we re-look at this math now, again, we're looking, if they have 2, let's say Mew Mew. Let's say we're hitting, make things safe, a Mew Mew. If they have 2 retreat cost, which Mew Mew does, with Gather Mine in play, it's a 4 retreat cost. With just 2 Absol in play, it's a 6 retreat cost. You are doing 310 damage for just a single stadium and 2 basic Pokemon, as well as your Milotic, which you can power up with Frostmoth or Welder. Either one is not bad. I think you can definitely get this powered up. I mean, you could theoretically, and I don't think even that impossibly, make a decent boy knockout. You could take a big boy knockout turn 1. You could absolutely take out a tag team turn 1 if they are active. If you have to gust it, you're asking for a little more. But I think this card is superb. The one asterisk, I'm making asterisk with my hands, but you can't see that. Though the one downside to Milotic, and definitely depending how the meta shifts, which may make it not as good. If it was in current meta, it'd be amazing. If Milotic came out in Sword and Shield base, it would be tier 1. I absolutely firmly believe that. However, this set, Rebellious Clash, introduces a lot of good VMAX. Some pretty good, some pretty interesting VMAX. So it's depending how the meta shakes out. VMAXs are not basics, so they are not affected by Absol. Absol is Zippity Zoo, and that's one of your big damage modifiers. So let's just take, for instance, let's look at we're gonna look at one of these VMAXs here. Sure, Toxtricity. We'll look at Toxtricity. That's actually a pretty good card. And now talk about Lightning, not being that bad, but Toxtricity is pretty solid. But if we look at Toxtricity, he has a 2 retreat cost, and you cannot affect that with Absol. Only Gather Mines. You're only doing a 4 retreat cost, so you're only hitting for you're not getting one shot on any VMAX really. So that is a problem. Some of and like Dragapult, I think, has a pretty low retreat cost. Yeah, it's got a 1 retreat cost. If that becomes a card, which it might, that hurts. So depending how these VMAX do, that could absolutely affect. Malamar has 2, so like you're not one-shotting any VMAX. So, except Copperjaw. You are one-shotting Copperjaw. 6. Actually, not. You're not even one-shotting Copperjaw, because that's only with Gather Mines. It's only 6. So, yeah. So, that's the big asterisk. You can still, I think you're still like one-shotting, like, well, I guess you're not hitting into goons, but you technically still do the math on like goons and like other like low hit points evolutions. But if VMAX or other evolution decks become a big thing, that's what's gonna hurt or make or break Milotic. But at the moment, I think it's a super interesting card. Definitely something I want to play around with, given the meta. And I think this is actually my longest video of these. I've been rambling quite a bit, so we'll wrap it up there. If If you have what you want me to look at next, let me know in the comments down below.